Attention wrestling fans, you're now about to listen to the man coming down the aisle from the main streets of South Elgin, Illinois, with a microphone in his hand and questions on his mind. This is Whaddya Say with DJ.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 40 of Whaddya Say with DDJ. As always, I am your host, DDJ. And this week, we're going to revisit the Did They Get It Right format. Seemed to get a lot of good feedback, and I thought, you know what, why not? Let's do it again. So making his return to the Whaddya Say with DDJ show is my very good friend, the owner / promoter / CEO of Chicagoland Championship Wrestling, Mr. John Bullard. And in this episode, he and I are going to go back and review Takeover Stand and Deliver from which was the unofficial kickoff to WrestleMania week. We'll talk about each match from night 1 and night 2, and he will give his take from a booker's perspective. So I hope you enjoy the show. So just make sure you grab that beer, grab that cold beverage, have that hot beverage, whatever tickles your fancy. Grab a snack, get comfy, get warm, and enjoy episode 40 of Whaddya Say with DDJ as my friend John Bullard and I review NXT Takeover Stand and Deliver.
This is Steve Michaels, the master of the Chicago Bear Hug, and you are listening to Whaddya Say with DDJ. And if you don't listen, I swear I will send the rest of the legacy of brutality after you, and you don't want that.
Alrighty then, we are back with episode 40 of Whaddya Say with DDJ, and bringing back something that I just recently tried out, got a lot of positive feedback on. We're bringing back, for the second time, we're going to be bringing back Did They Get It Right? And once again, joining me, as he did the last time we did this, is the CEO, owner / promoter of Chicagoland Championship Wrestling, my good friend, John Bullard. John, how are you doing this afternoon?
Hey, Dennis, I'm doing great, my friend. Looking forward to doing this with you again, my friend. We're doing the dance the second time around, so this should be fun. Looking at NXT Takeover. So this should... I'm always a big fan of the NXT shows itself, and also the Takeover events usually always kill it. So this is going to be a fun thing to review.
100% agree with you. Yeah, it seems like ever since they started doing these the same weekends as like the big WWE shows, it seems like I don't, and I'm sure you probably might agree with me in this. I don't think there's been a main roster show that has been better than a Takeover that aired like either the night before, like that, in that proximity.
I feel bad for the main roster every time, they end up have to follow NXT. I feel bad for the main roster guys and girls. It's the NXT bunch. They try to do their best to outshine everybody.
Yeah. All right, so let's get right into it. We're going to start off with the match that was the kickoff for night 1 on the pre-show, and that is going to be Zoe Stark versus former NXT UK Women's Champion Toni Storm. Zoe Stark is new to NXT. She, up to this point, she'd been off to a really good start, had some really good matches, I believe, with Io Shirai and some other talent, and stuff. And this was kind of like, I think, her first real big win on the main roster. Result was Zoe Stark went over. What'd you think of the match, and did they get it right?
Yeah, I think it was actually pretty good. It was kind of shocking for Zoe Stark to actually get the win. But, they've been building her up, even in her losses to certain talent, she's given the fight all the way through the match. It wasn't like, okay, we're going to get squashed.
Right.
She's been being built up the proper way as a young talent. This didn't hurt Toni Storm at all. If anything, this gave Toni Storm a new dance partner to work with in upcoming matches and maybe in the feud amongst them. To me, I do believe, though, Toni Storm is someone who should be within the next couple of months to a year from now, future NXT Women's Champion, or end up being on the main roster. Zoe, I do believe, though, will be probably the next woman in line to win the NXT Women's Championship.
Yeah,
I think they're building her up for it. I have a strong feeling they are.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I had said, in my and when we were doing a live review of this on the Junkyard, I'd said and just past discussions with Zoe Stark with my guys Spencer and Javon, I said that it clearly looks like she's being built as the future of the NXT Women's Division, and this clearly indicated that. I mean, you get yourself a win over someone who is a former NXT UK Women's Champion, but she also was the winner of the second annual Mae Young Classic, and that's a real big feather in the cap for Zoe Stark there. So I totally agree. I think they got it right here. Great way to kind of unofficially kick off the WrestleMania weekend and stuff. So, and both women had a great showing, and yeah, definitely the loss did not hurt Zoe Stark. Tony Storm, excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah. Tony Stark, that's a different battle than the Marvel Universe, but still.
Oh my God!
It happens, my friend. Trust me. All of us hosts of podcasting have dealt with a flub, but it's fine. You did good, kid.
Yeah, all right. Well, I appreciate that. All right, let's see if I can keep that from happening again, and let's get on to the main show. Don't forget, night one was simulcast on both the USA Network as well as Peacock. So we kick off the official action with Pete Dunne versus Kushida. Now, going into this match, this was before, obviously, Kushida would go on to win the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. And going into this match, he kind of really was in a position where I felt like he needed this win more so than Pete Dunne, because he really kind of was in a bit of a, I don't know, I want to say funk or slump, or just kind of just in that that's just that middle, just didn't really seem like they knew what to do with him and that stuff. So, and I thought that's why when we did our predictions, I picked Kushida to win because I felt like he needed this win more. Obviously, Pete Dunne got the win. What I thought was a really good opening match. What do you think of the match, and did you feel like the right person went over?
Phenomenal match. You will never have a bad match out of Kushida or Pete Dunne. And Pete Dunne's a work rate machine. Always has been ever since he was in United Kingdom, way before WWE. And to me, I do agree with you. If they were going to go ahead and give this run for Kushida to win the Cruiserweight title, why not give him and it doesn't have to be like a dominant win. It could be the upset victory coming from behind.
Right.
Win over Pete Dunne. That Pete thinks he's going to tap him out, and Kushida finds a way to roll him up for a 3 count. There's so many different ways they could have done this. But I do believe they should have gave the Kushida the win. It's kind of win. I guess I want to break down the fourth wall here.
Sure, go for it.
In wrestling, I always found the formula being the best. If you're opening the show, have the babyface get a big win to really excite the crowd.
Yep.
And that's why I was kind of surprised with this whole, I guess they were trying to catch fans off guard with this. But I feel like Pete Dunne wouldn't have been hurt in a loss to Kushida with this. I think he wouldn't be hurt at all. To me, I felt like Kushida should have been the guy who won.
Right. I 100% agree. I felt like if he would have taken the L here, it wouldn't have hurt him at all. So I 100% agree with that.
No, I do believe, on the other hand, though, it didn't really hurt Kushida taking a loss to Pete Dunne for how much Pete Dunne has done in the last 2 years with WWE, being one of the main guys on NXT UK, being one of the main guys coming up on the NXT roster. But I still rather see Kushida get the win. That'd be a good build-up for him.
Right. Especially considering what he would go on to do, less than a week later. So
yeah, absolutely.
All right. So moving on, we have the 6-way Gauntlet Eliminator match featuring Isaiah Swerve Scott, Leon Ruff, Bronson Reed, my boy Cameron Grimes. I was going to say Samuel Shaw, which is his name in Impact, Dexter Lumis, and the former Eli Drake, LA Knight. Result of this match was we had Bronson Reed go over, I believe, last eliminating Isaiah Swerve Scott. What did you think of the match, and do you feel the right person went over here?
I'm actually a big fan of Bronson Reed. He reminds me of maybe an Islander version of Bam Bam Bigelow. The best
Oh,
way
I
I
like
could
that
compare him.
comparison.
You know, like well, you know, Bam Bam's a huge influence on him too. Like when you watch some of his gear with the flames on and stuff, it's a nod to Bam Bam. I like Bronson. Big guy. He's believable. I was kind of surprised though on this because you had this was supposed to be what the debut of LA Knight, if I'm correct, like his
I
debut
think
match.
he had already wrestled, but I think this was like his first big, like, you know, event since debut, like having like his first big match. I think he'd had maybe one or two, because he won the battle royal like the week before to determine like to be the last man going into the gauntlet. And I think he had maybe a match or two before that or something, but this was like obviously his first big, you know, takeover. So
I was really surprised they didn't give LA Knight Eli Drake, as we know him in NWA and also his time in TNA. But I was really surprised they didn't give LA Knight the win. I was really surprised by that.
right.
But I was pleasantly surprised by Reed Bronson getting the victory. I felt like hey, it was a good choice. The thing is, everybody in that whole entire gauntlet would have been perfect to win, either one of them, because you have Swerve Scott. He's another guy you can't have a bad match with. Constant work rate, very good on the mic, good talker. Then you have Ruff, who's the underdog baby face. Kind of takes the biggest butt kicking, but keeps on finding a way to fight back.
Yep.
Let's see here. We also have Dexter Loomis, which is a great character.
Absolutely love his character.
The way he does it, it's believable.
Right.
Then of course, who else we had on here again? Grimes.
Yep.
Who's been ultra comical, but not comical in a stupid way, but comical in like this is actually funny and it's also entertaining. So like any one of those guys could have won, and I've been happy with it because they're all great talents. But yeah, I think Bronson good win because you know they've been building up Bronson with some victories here and there.
Right.
So yeah, properly so. It's a good big man.
One of the things I really enjoyed about this match is that, and this is one thing that I always love about a good battle royal or a multi-man match, is that it tells multiple stories. I mean, the match started out with, I think, Leon Ruff jumping Swerve Scott. You know, then you had the whole thing with Dexter Loomis and like, you know, still like freaking everybody out. And then, you know, like I think the end of the match, like, or when Dexter Loomis was eliminated by LA Knight, you know, it started something between those two. So, I mean, you had some stories that continued. You had some stories that started. And I think that's always the mark of a good multi-man match. I personally myself had predicted Dexter Loomis to win because with the whole thing going on with Indy Hartwell and obviously I know he's had some run-ins with Austin Theory and, you know, Johnny Gargano and stuff. I just thought from a storyline perspective, it made the most sense to, you know, for him to go over. Obviously, like I said earlier, Cameron Grimes is my guy. I'm a huge fan of his, you know, right now. I wouldn't say probably, he is my favorite NXT superstar. And I would have loved to have seen him win, but I wasn't upset with Bronson Reed winning either.
Yeah, me either. Like I said, and I agree with you on the multi-man thing. Some of those matches are such a cluster that a lot of guys will end up not being showcased properly in those things. But this is one where everyone kind of got the chance to shine and show what they could do. And it also was more character driven with a lot of them. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was actually one of the better matches of the night.
Yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed this match myself too. All right, speaking of matches that were enjoyable on this card, our next one here is for the NXT UK Championship featuring Walter defending against the heartbeat of NXT as referred to by Giovanni Tuhati of the Junkyard, Tommaso Ciampa. And good grief, man! I think I hurt I think I was hurting while watching that match because those chops that Walter was were laid in were that stiff. Result of the match was Walter got the win in a brutal match, and I don't know what else to say about it other than hard hitting, brutal match. What do you think of the match, and did the right person go over here?
Yeah, on both. To me, this was my match of the night. It was a hard-hitting physical matchup. Remind me a lot of the type of wrestling you've seen from all Japan Pro Wrestling from back in the mid '90s. Is this a hard-hitting? Kind of remind me of like the Kabashi style matchups, big chops. There was the fighting from underneath. It was actually very much a storytelling match. It wasn't just because of the violence. There was a story being told.
Right.
And Walter, in my opinion, has been the MVP of WWE for the last 2 years for this simple fact. I don't care how much the fans want to bitch about it or how much they want to crap about it. This is just being honest. He is the one wrestler you could take a non-wrestling fan and say, watch this with me. Perfect example, that Dragunov match on NXT UK.
Oh my God.
You take the one fan's like, "Well, wrestling's like every person who craps on wrestling."
Right.
And they watch the physicality and brutality of that match. And at the end they go, "My God, that's real. That was brutal." And he brings that believability. He is a throwback to the 1940s of the old school. I want to call them German monster type wrestlers, but he's a throwback to the villainous type wrestlers that something bad's going to happen to your baby faces. Something bad's going to happen to the good guys, and he brings such force in the ring when he hits somebody that I would have killed if WWE at the time would have had him and Samoa Joe wrestle against each other. They wrestled on the Indies at one time, I believe. But that in the NXT universe, that's a big fight match. But yeah, no, I'm happy with the win. I like Tommaso Ciampa. I think Tommaso's a great wrestler, but Walter needs to keep building up this legacy of this unbeatable champion that he is. And to me, I think this was the right call. And I have a feeling if I was booking this, if Walter was going to drop the title, it'd be the Dragunov. But it has to be like all the way up to next WrestleMania. It needs to be like the big blow off between those two, because that first encounter was savage. Right. So to me, this was the best call on their behalf, is to let Walter retain. And he retains over someone who's already a kind of an NXT legend, and Tommaso Ciampa.
Right. So, and for those of you who are listening to this, and I'm going to call two people out in particular, John, you know who I'm referring to, Spencer and Jovan, my boys from the Junkyard. You guys gave me a lot of crap for picking this match for match of the night. Well, you know what? I'm not alone. So there you go.
Because it was a wrestling match.
It was a wrestling match. Speaking of which, the Junkyard, don't forget to check out new episodes of the Junkyard that drop every Tuesday on Facebook, as well as all major podcasting platforms. Wherever you get your podcasts, just type in Pro Wrestling Junkies and be sure to check out the video on the Pro Wrestling Junkies Facebook page. Now that I got that cheap pop out of the way, let's move on to our next match here. And that match is the three-way match to determine the new NXT Tag Team Champions. We had MSK, Grizzled Young Veterans, and Legado del Fantasma. Going into this match, the champions, the former champions, Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, were unfortunately forced to relinquish their titles due to an injury suffered by Danny Burch. I believe was it at the hands of Karrion Kross that injured him?
I do believe so.
Okay. And I really liked that team. I really liked what they were doing when they won those titles. I was really getting into them. So, hopefully once Danny Burch gets back, they'll be able to at least get back in the mix for the belts and stuff. Result of the match was MSK went over to become the new NXT Tag Team Champions. What do you think of the match, and did they get it right here?
I like MSK, but I feel like the villains should have won. To me, I would actually like to see them win and let MSK be the one who had to chase them for the belts.
Now, when you're saying villains, which team are you referring to? Grizzled Young Veterans or Legado del Fantasma?
Oh, the Grizzled Young Veterans. I'm sorry, I call them villains. See, I flip up. But to me, they were like the best villains. So I love that. The Grizzled Young Veterans are the tag team that I really like those guys. To me, that's who I would have went with. I would have had it where they would have eliminated the Phantasma team. And then when MSK thought, hey, yeah, we're going to get this, that's when the carpet gets, taken out from underneath them. And, last second, they come so close to winning, but, the Hill team actually gets the big victory in this one. But MSK is very popular, and so far they've been doing very well as tag team champions. But to me, I would still went with the Grizzled Young Vets.
I knew there was a reason why I feel I've really gotten to like you and call you a friend and stuff. It's because you and I a lot of times are on the same wavelength, because everything you just said about the Grizzled Young Vets, I second it, because I love these two guys. I'm a huge fan of this team. I so desperately wanted them to win this match for basically the same reasons you just laid out and stuff. So I appreciate you reading my mind and basically saying what I had to say before I had a chance to say it. So,
well, I mean, to me, they play a great role being a cowardly tag team in the way they do stuff. And the MSK tag team is very flashy. They do a lot of flips, a lot of, they do all the stuff that, a good guy team should do. They're fancy. Right. But the Grizzled Young Vets are not fancy. Everything they do is this, I'm here to cut you off, here to beat you up, take the cheap way out. Whatever I have to do, I do it to get the win. And to me, that would have been a perfect tag team feud all the way through.
Right. Yeah, I'm not upset that MSK won, but yeah, like I said, I just think you could have told a better story with them chasing the titles and eventually get him off the Grizzled Young Veterans, But to start that story off, yeah, Grizzled Young Veterans could have easily come in and stolen the match from MSK. I could have easily seen that happen, in the typical cowardly heel way.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So moving on to the main event of night one, we have for the NXT Women's Championship, we have Io Shirai versus Raquel Gonzalez. And this match had really been something that the build for this match started all the way back at NXT War Games when Raquel Gonzalez pinned Io Shirai to win the War Games match for team, I believe it was Team Candice. And I think I even said right then and there, I said, there's the woman that's taking the title off of Io Shirai. At that point, I just knew this is what it was leading to. And one of the things I really liked was the build up to this match. I mean, it wasn't like just a boom, here we go. I mean, the build was so gradual. It's like, it's like it really had that, that big fight feel once we got to match time. And that, so result of the match was Raquel Gonzalez went over Io Shirai clean to win the NXT Women's Championship to cap off, just like I said, just what was an amazing build to this match. What do you think of the match, and did you think they got it right here?
Yeah, it was a good physical matchup. It was one of those things that Raquel is she's a legit giant for a woman her size. She's tall, but she's very athletic. And to me, I feel like with Io Shirai, Io's been so over as a wrestler in NXT, a loss ain't gonna hurt her. Honestly, what it actually have done, it's given her a new opponent to play with and to have a great series of matches with to try to get her title back. And it's now pretty much the Davey versus Goliath metaphor.
Yep.
You have this woman who is being booked the proper way now. She's demolishing people. She's not taking cheap shots. She just tosses people around like rag dolls. And to me, I feel like it was a good win. Gonzalez needed it more than Io did, because I feel like if Gonzalez lost, then where do you go from there with her? But I feel like with her getting the victory, that was the right call.
Yeah, and one of the things I've really started to like about Raquel Gonzalez is not only can she wrestle like for being, her size, and like she has a style that complements her build. She's also learning how to talk on the mic, and she's getting really good at it. And I mean, yes. I think when you have got someone with that unique look who can actually cut a decent promo and really looks like she's extremely comfortable on the mic, that's a recipe for success, is either in NXT or hell, even on the main roster, because we know Vince likes his men and women that can talk. So,
Oh yeah, I mean, one of the main things, and I feel like a lot of wrestling fans kind of forget this, that you can have the greatest athletic ability from the gift from God, but if you
Mhm.
can't talk people into the stands, then you're kind of missing one of those great formulas of what makes a great professional wrestler, which is the ability to talk.
Right.
And I feel like she's definitely improved on the mic. She's definitely improved in the ring. And you're right about her look. She has a unique look.
Hmm.
You don't find many women in life that is her size. She's tall, not freakishly tall at like 7'7" or anything like that. But
Hmm.
for most average women who are like 5'3", 5'4", she's like what 6'4", 6'5", something like that. She's tall.
Something like that. Yeah, I don't remember, but I know she's over 6 feet.
Yeah. So she's got great height to her, and once again, the key word, she's believable.
Mhm.
When you see someone like her, you know that she's going to physically pick up someone or have the strength to actually fight, let's say like a Nia Jax or a Shayna Baszler or someone of that caliber of size and strength. She can match them with it. And so she's a believable threat in ring. So yeah, I'm very happy that they're giving this young lady the opportunity that she's now proven that she deserves.
Right, right. So one thing I want to ask you on this, and just do you honestly are you starting to see what this dynamic between Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai? Do you kind of see, because this is a vibe I've been getting for a little while. I almost feel like that these two kind of have that Shawn Michaels Diesel vibe.
Hazel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if you haven't had a chance to check out that WWE Untold on the two dudes with attitudes, check it out. It's actually really good.
I actually haven't had a chance to check that out, so I'll actually watch that tonight.
Yeah, check it out and stuff. I really enjoyed it. And that, so, but yeah, I feel like they're going to go down this road. Like, I think it's going to get to the point where Dakota's going to get so jealous of Raquel that she's eventually going to, pull an HBK and turn on Raquel to eventually, to become one of the next women to challenge her for that title. I don't know if you kind of think that as well. It's just something I've been thinking about since, like, especially since Raquel got the belt.
Well, if they do it, I hope it's not like instant. I
Mm-hmm.
want to have a build up because that's
Agreed.
the only proper way to doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem with wrestling today, though. In my opinion, is that so many companies nowadays, when it comes to building up a story, they feel like, okay, let's do it in 2 weeks, and it's like, no,
No,
give it
agreed.
time, let it fester, and then go with the flow.
Agreed. All right, so that caps off night one. I think we are both in agreement that our pick for the match of the night of night one was Walter versus Ciampa. So yeah, so let's move on to night number two, and we'll start out with night number two with the pre-show kickoff match for that night, and that is Breezango taking on the team of Killian Dane and Drake Maverick, where the winners of the match would get a shot at the new tag team champions MSK. In the match, Dane and Maverick went over. What do you think of the match? And did they get it right with who went over?
Yeah, I'm actually okay with this one. I think the right team won for what it
Mhm.
was. I'm actually am a Fandango and Breeze fan. They're one of those guys that they're so good, they're criminally underrated that they make everyone else look like $1,000,000 around them.
Yep.
But Killian Dane and Maverick, that's an interesting tag team. It's kind of interesting, like how now they're showcasing Maverick as a wrestler in the last couple of months since they did the whole "I want to lose my job" angle.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's good. It's good victory for him. Because definitely Fandango and Breeze was former NXT Tag Team Champions at one time.
Yep.
So hey, he's beat former champs. That's a good rub for an upcoming tag team.
Mm-hmm. I agree. The one thing though, and I really since Drake Maverick got his job back, or he signed the contract with NXT. Really up until this he was paired with Killian Dane. I didn't really like the way they were using him. I mean, and I just hope that he gets a chance to show that he can be like a serious wrestler, because he can actually wrestle, and I think he just really hasn't gotten a chance to show what he can do.
Yeah, agreed. and he's been one of the most underrated guys on the NXT roster.
Mhm.
So hopefully, if it's with this tag team, or hopefully he'll become one of those breakout singles wrestlers. I like to see what they could really do with Killian Dane, because he could have a good match with anybody. He's
Agreed.
very underrated big man.
Yeah. Now I know lately they've been teasing, whether or not he's going to join Imperium. So that should be some interesting, television. Okay. Moving on to the main card for night number 2. We kicked off night 2 officially with the ladder match to determine the undisputed NXT Cruiserweight Champion. You had Jordan Devlin, who some people say is the true NXT Cruiserweight Champion, seeing as he won the championship back at Worlds Collide. I think it was the weekend of Royal Rumble 2020. And then obviously going in, he held that title, and basically once the pandemic hit, he was stuck over in the UK, so he couldn't get over to defend the title. So they decided to hold the tournament to crown an interim NXT Cruiserweight Champion, later dropping the interim title, and just, winner of this tournament would become the NXT Cruiserweight Champion. That would be Santos Escobar, who would run roughshod over the Cruiserweight division until Jordan Devlin decided to return and say, hey, I'm the true champion. So what better way to have the two men who both have legit claims to the Cruiserweight title. So let's have them settle it in a ladder match, which actually, the very first televised ladder match was kind of put in as under the similar circumstances where, you had HBK and Razor Ramon both with legit claims to the Intercontinental title. And that's how they settled it, and one of the things I liked about the build of this match was the inclusion of, HBK kind of being the one to throw the ladder into the mix. So,
yeah, good, and that's a good analogy when you talk about like the HBK Razor Ramon.
Mm-hmm.
Is like a modern day version of that,
right? So going into this match again, both these men had legit claims to the title. We went to the match after a really brutal match. We had Santos Escobar would grab both belts to become the undisputed NXT Cruiserweight Champion. What did you think of the match? And did you feel like the right person went over?
Yes. Escobar, in my opinion, has been killing it as NXT, the 205 Live Cruiserweight Champion, NXT Cruiserweight Champion, wherever they want to get the title to of that. He's done a very good job. I love his heel group. Great villains all the way through. The guy is smooth as ice, man. He doesn't have a bad match of anyone. He's really good. I like Jordan Devlin, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But I feel like with him being away for so long, and Escobar was there almost like every week, having a good match with everyone, it was a good rub for him to get the win over on Devlin and proclaiming himself as the true Cruiserweight champion. To me, I think that was a good call. And I was happy with the match. I mean, the finish, oh my god, when he went through that damn ladder, man, I was like, oh my god, like that was rough. But I mean, but it was a believable finish. Right. And I liked it. I thought it was a good match.
I honestly was kind of hoping Devlin would win. I really like Jordan Devlin. I mean, Santos has been great, but I just feel like he's destined for bigger things, not only in NXT, but I can definitely see him becoming a big star on the main roster. And that's kind of why I thought that maybe Devlin would get the win, because then Escobar could maybe move on to bigger and better things, because, he recently had that really good match with Karrion Kross, the Street Fighter, whatever. And I just felt like, man, this guy could really be something special. But again, like you, I'm not upset about, Escobar winning the match to become the undisputed Cruiserweight champion. Obviously he didn't have much, but he didn't have better luck, his next time out in the ring, because obviously, as we know by now, Kushida would go on to defeat Santos Escobar on the following episode of NXT to become the current Cruiserweight champion. But again, great match. And that last spot where Devlin went through the ladder, as soon as I saw him, I'm like, he's done.
Yeah. It was just one of those like, yep, he's dead.
It was bad. It's just, It makes me wonder how these guys, it makes me have much more respect for these guys because they put themselves on the line, to do this kind of stuff. So
yeah, this ladder falling onto a ladder is not fun. I can tell you that personally.
I will never do that to myself. So don't ever okay. So moving on, we have. The next match on the card was for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. We had the champions Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon going up against The Way, represented by Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. Myself, I'm a huge fan of The Way. I've really liked this group. They kind of, you have Johnny and Candice as kind of almost like the mom and dad, and then you have Indy and Austin as like the teenage kids, and you got mom and dad trying to keep them under control. I really like the dynamic. It hasn't translated to a whole lot of success on NXT and stuff, but they're still quite entertaining. Result of this match was the champs retained over Indy and Candice, and I was a little upset about it because I felt like it was The Way's time. I think Candice LeRae is long overdue to have a championship reign of some kind. Yeah. Obviously, we would know that wouldn't last too much longer because now we have new NXT Women's Tag Team Champions in The Way. But what do you think of this match? And did they get it right with having the champs retain at the time?
Yeah, I was actually okay with the champs retaining it because we see what it led to.
Right.
And I felt like the matchup, what it led to, was actually just as good as the first one. Yeah, I was actually okay with it. I actually have a soft spot in my heart for Shotzi and Ember Moon, both as talent. Shotzi takes a lot of really crazy, bumps.
Right.
I mean, I will have to say this as a former wrestler. I worry about her because, one day you're going to mess up and, you end up being injured pretty badly from it. This is my only knock on her. I hope she would slow it down just a little. But her and Ember both, tremendous talents. Big fan of Candice LeRae and also Hartwell. Her name is pronounced.
Indy Hartwell, yes.
Yeah, she's another one that's actually a very underrated talent. She's very good. Both ladies' teams are good, but yeah, I was actually okay with Ember and Shotzi getting the win. I was okay with that because knowing what we see from the last show,
right, and
it was actually okay.
And the one thing I was going to say about that is at the time when this match happened, I wasn't okay with it because I felt like The Way should get these titles because I think, they're just such an entertaining duo to watch. But look, kind of now, hindsight being 2020, for what you just said, I'm okay. I'm actually okay with this now because of what it led to. Because honestly, I thought the match that he just recently had, where Candice and Indy won the tag titles, I thought it was better than this match here.
Yeah, I think so too.
And that's so. But yeah, definitely congratulations to Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell for getting those NXT Women's Tag Team titles. And all I have to say is about damn time to see some gold around Candice LeRae's waist because she is long overdue.
Yeah, she's one of the better women's talent. Yeah.
All right. So speaking of The Way, we move on to our next match, and that is Johnny Gargano defending the NXT North American Championship against the man who just one night before won the Gauntlet Eliminator match to become the number one contender for the North American Championship in Bronson Reed. So obviously, the knock on Johnny Gargano is that he can never retain the title. He'd always lose in, his first title defense. He's since gone on to finally break the curse. But yeah, I don't think a lot of people gave him a chance in this because, the size of Bronson Reed, but somehow, some way, no pun intended, Johnny Gargano, would retain the championship. And what do you think of the match? And did they get it right with having Gargano retain here?
I might be one of the few guys will actually shock folk for saying this, but I was actually hoping for Bronson Reed to get the win.
Mm-hmm.
I was really hoping for it. I mean, he's won that gauntlet match the night before. You're thinking, okay, he just went through 6 guys. He retained, that victory through hard work. He's been getting victories on NXT on the TV tapings. You'd think they would give him the win, but shocking everybody, Johnny retains. To me, I guess it's a good call if you're wanting to see the story develop with Johnny and Bronson. But I got to be honest with you, I was hoping for Bronson to actually get the win.
Yeah, I like the way you put that. I was hoping whoever would have come out of this gauntlet match would go on to defeat Gargano to win the championship, because I always like that. They have that hard fought match, then they have to come back 24 hours later to go for the championship, and I've always been a big fan of that story. And Bronson Reed's someone who's really starting to come into his own and stuff, and I wouldn't be surprised to eventually see maybe Bronson Reed get that title off of Johnny Gargano, because it seems like that's what they're building towards. But yeah, I would have liked to see Bronson win here, but I'm very much okay with Gargano retaining, because, like I mentioned before, I really am a huge fan of the way. I really like this dynamic that they present, and Johnny Gargano is so good at being that obnoxious heel that you just want to see someone kick his ass.
Oh yeah, he's definitely the big I think curse, but he's a good chicken shit type of wrestler that you would hope he gets his comeuppance, and Bronson would have been a great guy to give him his comeuppance. Definitely, if it would have been one of those, you would throw him around and put him through a table or whatever, or put him through a wall or something like that. Maybe down the road they're building up to it. Who knows? But yeah, I'm not upset with Bronson not getting a win, but I was kind of shocked that they didn't pull the trigger on it.
Agreed, but I mean, much like we said, much like with Candice and Indy, maybe they'll pull the trigger here in a couple weeks or something during the rematch.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of surprised they actually didn't try to start pushing Dexter Lumis to be the guy to take the belt off of Gargano.
And see, that's kind of going back to the whole thing why I thought,
he would be the guy to get the win. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, like from a storyline perspective, because especially now the stuff that we've got going on with Dexter and Indy, which is just I love it. And one thing I kind of want to go back, you talked about Dexter Lumis. The one thing, and this is something that I've said on the Junkyard, I think that for Dexter Lumis, I think it takes so much talent for someone to play a character that really doesn't show any emotion. I don't think people fully realize how hard that actually is. And it's just, that's one of the reasons why I have such an appreciation for the Dexter Lumis character, because of what it must be, how hard or how difficult it must be for him to play this character who really maybe he does show emotion, but his face always conveys that there's no emotion there. I just think that's just it takes a truly special talent to pull that off.
Yeah, it really is, because the character kind of reminds me. I guess they're wanting to play him off as like he's a mix between Dexter, the serial killer,
right?
But also I get a little bit of a Hannibal Lecter vibe off him in a way too. But he's also this tortured artist in a way, so it's a mixture of a little bit of everything. But even though like he shows no emotions, his eyes tell the story.
Yep.
And so to me, like, yeah, I'm a huge Samuel Shaw, Dexter Lumis fan. I've been a fan of the guy's work for years. He's always been really good talent.
And he's also a hell of an artist too.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing that makes it so impressive. The gimmick is really actually just him just doing what he does naturally. He paints and draws.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a couple more matches here, and these are the two of the biggest matches that a lot of people were most looking forward to. And our first matchup, the last two here, is we have Finn Balor defending the NXT Championship against Karrion Kross, who was looking to get back the title that he technically never lost. Remember back at, I think it was, I don't remember which takeover it was, but he beat Keith Lee to win the NXT championship, and then unfortunately he would have to relinquish the title in the next episode of NXT because of his shoulder injury. But he battled his way back, looks just as jacked as ever, and in a pretty hard-hitting match went over and became the two-time NXT champion. So what did you think of the match, and was the right call made here putting the belt back on Karrion Kross?
Yeah, absolutely. Huge fan of Kross, believable wrestler. You read about his background. He's got a legit martial arts background, legit MMA fighting background. He's a legit tough guy. He's a legit badass. Like how could you not appreciate that? And in a world of guys today that some are and some aren't, but he's one that is. Finn Balor had a great run as NXT champion. I think it actually helped revitalize his career when he went to NXT.
Absolutely.
And the matches that he put on, he freaking deserved, everything that he's done. But to me, this was the right time, the right call. He's coming back fresh off the injury. He's red hot. He's on everyone's mind. Why not give the win to Cross? And good call on their behalf for giving Cross the win. Because honestly, it doesn't hurt Finn Balor at all with this.
And it's just, and I know it just, one of the things that I'm just so enthralled with the Karrion Kross character is that entrance. It is like just one of the coolest entrances, if not the coolest entrance out in all of pro wrestling right now.
It goes to prove that sometimes a wrestler can win over a crowd. Bobby Roode, prime example. When he used to come out to the Glorious, and he had like the whole choir sing it with him, and the whole arena singing it with him. You can't hate the guy for having a cool entrance. Like you instantly want to start cheering for him. He's like, I actually kind of like this guy. Cross same way. It's a really badass entrance, like Aleister Black. He comes up from the grave, the whole like death metal vibe to him. You just like instantly go like, yo, I dig this. This is different. And sometimes all it takes in wrestling to get truly over is that entrance music or stage presence before you even touch the ring, and you can win a crowd over just by fans going like, yo, I haven't watched this guy wrestle, but he's automatically cool in my book because of that alone. He's got the believable, cool, badass factor going for him. And
I've had the privilege of meeting Cross and Scarlett in person. It was back at Starrcade 3 right before All Out about 2 years ago, and couldn't have been any nicer, both of them. So anytime I've had a chance to meet someone and they treat me like a friend, I'm a fan of theirs for life, and I mean, so I'm so happy to see someone that I'm a huge fan of achieve the success. The biggest crime in all of this is that this is happening during the pandemic, Eric. I mean, could you imagine like
that real live crowd there?
Yeah, in front of a fully take that entrance and put it on say WrestleMania where they had 25,000 people per night. Or, put it in a full arena on a Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown, pre-pandemic or post-pandemic when people can start going back to shows and just, oh my God, I can imagine what that entrance really would be like in front of a full crowd.
Yeah, me too. Because it's made for a big stadium show.
Right.
Crowd. Absolutely it is.
Yeah. All right, so our last match of the two-night takeover event is the unsanctioned match between former Undisputed Era teammates Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. Going into this match, obviously there was such a big build-up. I mean, hardcore wrestling fans will know that this isn't the first time these two have locked horns one-on-one. They've had some pretty violent feuds in Ring of Honor. I know they had a really good match against each other at a Wrestle Kingdom event a couple years ago. I believe it was 2017, and but I mean, it's just going into this match. It was just you knew that it was going to be a fight, and a fight it was. I mean, they literally went everywhere. They used everything, and I mean, hell, they even went through the stage a la Bam Bam Bigelow and Taz. But in the end, Kyle O'Reilly, with the help of a chain wrapped around his leg, went over Adam Cole. What do you think of the match, and did the right person go over?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a huge fan of Kyle O'Reilly. I think him getting the big win over Adam Cole was a good call. Adam Cole has had how many big NXT moments? You know what I'm saying? Like he's been Mr. NXT. He really has. I'm not the biggest Adam Cole fan per se, but I do respect a guy who puts on the performances that he does. I do think, though, that it was a good call because I think a lot of folks were thinking Adam Cole was going to win, and because Adam Cole usually always come out on top. Right. But it was a nice change of pace to see Kyle O'Reilly being the guy finally getting the big win on Adam Cole. And now here's the thing is, what are they going to do with Kyle O'Reilly after this? Are they going to keep feuding him with Adam Cole, or are we going to finally get to see Kyle O'Reilly being the guy that's going to be a single star that maybe might become a challenger for Cross's title?
Mm-hmm.
And, hey, here's another guy, legitimate badass with martial arts background.
Absolutely.
So, big fight atmosphere.
Right. I honestly, I mean, say what you will. I almost feel like I think they should have went with Cole here with this, like where he gets that win where he just squeaks it out, like just through a fluke or something. Because I think O'Reilly chasing that win over Cole, I think could have made for a really good story. So I
do agree. I do agree on it. That would.
And that's kind of what I was expecting to happen here. I picked Adam Cole to win just because of that. Like I said he was going to win by the skin of his teeth and that. But yeah, I don't hate the match because I don't hate the result because it was as brutal of a match as Walter versus Ciampa, but for different reasons and stuff. But I mean, again, like I mentioned before, they went all over the place. They went through the entryway. And they had the chairs and just everything, and it was a great way to cap off 2 nights of solid NXT action. And like I said, I'm not upset, but I felt like you could have gotten more mileage out of an Adam Cole win with O'Reilly chasing Tim back to finally get his revenge.
And you know what? I could see that happening. I could also see this. By the way, what I was trying to say is what I love about that entranceway bump. It was a nod to Heat Wave 98.
Yep.
When Taz and Bigelow went through the stage. Yep. I saw that was like, thumbs up, boys.
Yep.
But I can see it where O'Reilly finally gets a chance at Cross. And then Adam Cole comes out there and screws him over.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, I can see it both ways as you're seeing it too, like, a win by Adam Cole. But I think in a way, though, why they went with O'Reilly on this is that Adam Cole has had so many big NXT takeover moments that people were thinking like, Adam Cole's going to get the win. It was a good surprise win that O'Reilly was the one that actually came out on top.
Right.
I think that's why they went with it.
But, and again, it makes sense. I don't hate it because I really like what they're doing with O'Reilly. In fact, we did back on the Junkyard. We at the end of last year we did our Junkies Award show, and we all gave like a bold prediction for 2021, and mine was that provided he doesn't get called up to the main roster, I said Kyle O'Reilly will be NXT champion sometime this year, and I could definitely still see that happening.
Oh yeah, me too. I definitely see it happening.
And that's so.
Because I'm actually kind of surprised Adam Cole hasn't been called up to the main roster. I got to be honest with you, I'm really shocked by that. I remember when they brought him into that one Royal Rumble.
Right.
I was just going like, okay, they're about to try to launch the next HBK. With him, and they didn't do it. So I was kind of like, oh, okay. So it's just like you're just here for the big surprise. Back to NXT.
Right.
So I'm waiting. I give Adam Cole right near mid-end of 2021. We'll probably end up seeing Adam Cole on the main roster.
I definitely could see that. So we've recapped night 2. What was your favorite match from night 2?
Night 2 for me, I would have to say for the pure brutality, Escobar versus Devlin, the ladder match was really good. For night 1, Walter versus Ciampa, because it was a wrestling match of pure physical and brutality. And
then, okay, so you take those 2 matches. Which one did you like more? So what was your overall pick for best match of the 2-night takeover?
The one that actually made me really sit there and really pay attention to it and really watch it was actually Walter versus Ciampa.
All right, yeah. For me, night 2 winner was Cole versus O'Reilly, but overall, much like you, I'm going Walter versus Ciampa and that. So, and I'm sticking. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Spencer and Jovan.
You're the man.
Thank you. You hear that, Spencer and Jovan? John Bullard says I'm the man. So, alrighty then. Well, obviously, since I've had you on, tickets still selling well for the August show?
Yeah, everything's going really good for August. So fans, they haven't bought a ticket yet. They really, really need to, because those tickets are right now. We're at the halfway point,
Mhm.
and we're not even near June. So August is almost a sold out show. And we have a lot of big matchups. Once we can announce them, I think people will look at and go, crap, I should have bought that ticket, because that's some hellacious matches I got planned. All I can
Mhm.
say is, first time ever in the United States, the international tag team titles from Mexico will be defended on the show. We're also going to see a Ring of Honor star make his debut at Chicagoland, and a few more surprises coming. So it's going to be a fun night in August. But we also got June coming up, and that
Yes.
June show is going to be phenomenal.
Yes. Any news on June, or is everything still as it is? In terms of what capacity is going to be like. What have you been told?
Well, we're still waiting on our levels. The county was in the orange, but we're starting to slowly move up. That's what I'm hoping
Mhm.
for. So our capacity level right now is still where it's at.
Mhm. Alrighty then. And again, that show is June 12th. Obviously, tickets are sold out, but be on the lookout, because it'll be eventually available on Amazon Prime, Fight TV, Powered 4 TV, anywhere else.
High Spots Wrestling Network.
Okay.
We're also part of that wonderful network itself. If someone actually hasn't actually bought the High Spots Wrestling Network before, they need to, because the content on there is insane. There's
Mhm.
so much wrestling on there. Shoot interviews, like everything. It's like one of the best package networks I actually purchased myself to watch. Also, if you're a fan in Germany, WFD TV, and also our June 12th show is our debut with Mas Lucha in Mexico, which has about over 1 million subscribers to their network. So, international company being seen all over the world.
That's awesome. And before we started recording, I'm unable to say anything right now, but I know you've got some big things in the works for CCW, so I can't wait for you to share that with all the fans, because it's some really good stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'll give it like the next couple of days, next week at least. There'll be some really cool announcements coming up with things that I think will make people very excited.
Right. And the August show, what date is that again?
August show is August 21st.
Okay.
So for fans, we'll give you a little special calendar look. June 12th, August 21st, and then our anniversary show will be October 16th, and then we have a very special event. It is the Chicagoland Cup that will
Ooh.
be on November 20th. So that'll be our year-end show, our annual tournament that you, the wrestling fans, will definitely want to buy your ticket to see.
All right. Well, you definitely, and as soon as yeah, to get all your information on how you can get tickets for the August 21st show, as well as all upcoming shows, please go to ChicagolandChampionshipWrestling.com, or actually, you know what? Tune into What Do You Say with DDJ, as I will try to provide the most up-to-date information on all things Chicagoland Championship Wrestling. So yeah, John, I want to take a moment here to thank you for hopping on with me to review NXT Takeover Stand and Deliver. I always love picking your brain about this kind of stuff, because in our talks, I've told how fascinated I am of all aspects of the wrestling business, most notably like the booking and things like that and stuff. So thanks for allowing me and my audience a little peek behind the curtain.
Hey, you know what? It's always an honor, Dennis, and thank you for always being the awesome host of your podcast show with all of us here in Chicagoland, being guests on your show numerous of times. And you know what? I have to say you're actually my favorite podcaster to deal with on a
Aw.
personal level, because you're very professional and you're very polite. And everyone who I've been on shows are also professional, but I've gotten to know you as a person, and it's always a blast. Always have fun here till I talk to you.
I I'm very honored by and touched by those words, and I can say the same thing about you. You're always fun to talk to. You're a good person if I need a piece of advice or something. So yeah, but yeah. So John, I want to have it. You and the missus have a great weekend, and obviously, I'm sure I'll be talking to you here pretty shortly.
Absolutely. Well, Dennis, thank you for having me on again, and you and your family have a blessed weekend, my friend.
You and yours as well.
This is Tim Storm, former NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. You're listening to Whaddya Say with DDJ. If you love professional wrestling, this is where you need to get your information. Don't miss this.
John, as always, thank you so much for coming on my show. I really had a lot of fun revisiting NXT Takeover Stand and Deliver with you and getting your takes on the show from the Booker's perspective. Be sure to go to ChicagolandChampionshipWrestling.com to get your tickets for the upcoming August 21st show. Tickets for the June 12th show are sold out, but like I mentioned before, tickets are still available for the August 21st show. John mentioned on the show that he's sold about 50% of the tickets, so get on it because it is a great show and you'll regret not missing it. And coming up, he also will have shows on October 16th, which will be the 1-year anniversary show, as well as November 20th. And as mentioned on the show, there's some big things coming down the pipeline for Chicagoland Championship Wrestling, so get your tickets as fast as you can because you don't want to say you missed out. We also go to ChicagolandChampionshipWrestling.com to get your official Chicagoland Championship Wrestling merchandise. And speaking of merchandise, make sure you go to www.ProWrestlingTees.com/ProWrestlingJunkies to get yourself a Whaddya Say with DDJ shirt. You can also get yourself a Junkyard shirt, a shirt for Such Good Shoot, get a shirt for Toilet Side Wrestling Talk, Steve's 3, the Mexican Meltzer, not to mention all the great Pro Wrestling Junkies designs that are on there as well, too. That's all the time I have for this episode of Whaddya Say with DDJ. And I'll see you in about a week with a brand new episode, everybody. Thanks again for listening. Have a good night.
If you love professional wrestling and great podcasts, check out Whaddya Say with DDJ on Facebook, Twitter, and also on ProWrestlingTees.com. In the search field, just type in DDJ and buy the best professional wrestling podcast shirt around.